I'm Claire Watson. I'm 27 years old. And right now, as I type this, Daniel Brooks is sitting in his car outside my building, honking like grief gives him ownership over my time. 8 days ago, I woke up engaged. 8 days ago, I went to sleep abandoned. Last Monday morning, I reached for my phone like I always did, expecting Daniel's usual, "Good morning, future wife." Instead, I saw a message failed. I tried Instagram. Blocked. Facebook. Blocked. LinkedIn. Blocked. My fiancé had erased me overnight. At first, I thought it was a glitch. Maybe his phone broke. Maybe his account got hacked. Then a text came through from his sister Hannah. "Claire, Daniel needs space to think about everything before the wedding. He'll reach out when he's ready." Space. 8 days before 120 guests arrived. 8 days before my parents flew in from Seattle. 8 days before I walked down an aisle we built together. I called Hannah immediately. "Blocking your fiancé 8 days before the wedding isn't space," I said. "It's abandonment." She sighed like I was overreacting. "He's just nervous. It's normal." Normal? Normal is cold feet. Normal is panic. Normal is late-night conversations. Blocking me was a decision. I sat in the apartment. Technically, both our names on the lease. But I'd been paying the rent alone for 6 months after Daniel quit his marketing job to focus on wedding planning. 3 years together. 10 months engaged. Every detail chosen together. And suddenly I was alone in a wedding that didn't exist. I called my maid of honor, Sophia. She didn't sugarcoat it. If someone blocks you before marrying you, that's not fear. That's your answer. And something in me shifted. Monday afternoon, I started making calls. The venue, $8,500 gone. The caterer, 70% loss. Photographer, DJ florist. By evening, I had burned through nearly $20,000. Money Daniel never would have paid back. Tuesday morning, I emailed every guest. Due to unforeseen circumstances, the wedding is canceled. I didn't consult him. He forfeited his vote when he blocked me. Then I opened the closet. His tux hung there, pressed and ready. A $1,800 symbol of a promise he walked away from. I called a local nonprofit that provides formal wear for men who can't afford it. I donated it. Because if he could discard me that easily, I could discard symbolism. Tuesday night, I boxed his watches, his shoes, his stupid monogrammed cufflinks. Wednesday morning, I called his parents. His father was stunned I canceled. He just needed time, he insisted. "I just lost $20,000, I replied. "If he wanted to marry me, he would have talked to me." There was silence on the line. Wednesday evening, my phone rang from an unknown number. I knew before I answered. "Claire, what did you do?" Daniel demanded. I leaned back against the wall, steady. "I canceled a wedding the groom disappeared from. He said marriage was a big step. He said he panicked. He said he just needed a few days." "A few days to decide if you want to marry me?" I asked quietly. He hesitated. And that hesitation told me everything. Daniel's voice stayed sharp on the phone, like anger could rewrite what he'd done. "I can't believe you canceled everything without talking to me," he said. I let out a laugh that didn't sound like humor. It sounded like someone finally snapping a thread they'd been gripping too hard. "Daniel, I tried to talk to you. You blocked me. You made your sister deliver your words like I was some stranger you didn't owe a conversation to." "That's not fair," he said quickly. I was overwhelmed. It was a lot. It was a lot, I agreed. It was $20,000 worth of a lot. He went quiet. That silence, again, was louder than anything he could say. "You're exaggerating," he muttered. "No." I pulled up the spreadsheet I'd made just to keep my hands from shaking while I called vendors. Venue deposit and cancellation fee, $8,500. Caterer, $6,700. Photographer, $2,200. DJ, $1,400. Florist, $1,100. And that's not counting travel changes for guests. His breath hitched. "Claire, I didn't know it would be that much." "That's the point," I said, voice low. "You disappeared and left me to pay for the consequences of your space." He tried a softer tone then, like he was switching strategies. Okay, we can postpone. We can do it later when things calm down." I stared at the wall, at the little dent by the light switch where Daniel once slammed a door during an argument and then cried afterwards saying he hated that side of himself. Later. Calm down. As if my life was something he could pause and unpause when it suited him. "With what money?" I asked. "You think I can just lose $20,000 and then do it again?" "We'll figure it out," he insisted. "No," I corrected. "I figured it out while you were gone." He sounded offended now. "Where is this coming from? Why are you being so cold?" Cold. That word. Like my boundaries were cruelty. "You blocked your fiancé before your wedding," I said slowly. "I'm not cold. I'm awake." The line went quiet again. and I knew he was trying to decide whether to apologize or attack. Then I asked the question that had been gnawing at me since Hannah's text. "Where have you been staying?" "What does it matter?" he snapped. "It matters because you left our apartment," I said. "You abandoned your half of the lease, and you abandoned me." "I didn't abandon you," he said too fast. "I just needed a place to think." "Where?" I repeated. "Have you been?" Another pause. And then, like he was tossing me a bone to shut me up, he said, "With a friend." My skin prickled. "What friend?" "Just a friend." "Name," I demanded. "Claire." "Name." He exhaled hard, annoyed now that I wouldn't accept vagueness like a good girl who just waits patiently for a man to come back. "Ethan," he said. I blinked. "Ethan who?" "Miller," he mumbled. The apartment felt suddenly smaller. "Who is Ethan Miller?" I asked, and my voice stayed calm only because I'd gone numb. "My friend," Daniel said, like he'd already answered. "I've never heard you mention an Ethan, ever. He's not part of my usual group." "How long have you known him?" "A few months," Daniel admitted. "A few months." 8 days before our wedding, my fiancé ran off to stay with a man I'd never met, a man he'd known a few months, and then blocked me so I couldn't ask questions. I swallowed, forcing my mind not to jump to conclusions while my heart already sprinted ahead. "And you thought that was normal?" I asked quietly. "It's not like that," he said immediately, defensive. "Ethan is just someone I can talk to." "Someone you can talk to," I repeated. "So you couldn't talk to me, the woman you were supposed to marry, but you could talk to Ethan." "I knew you'd react like this," Daniel barked. "Like what?" My voice sharpened. "Like someone who expects honesty from her fiancé?" He tried to flip it on me. "You're always intense, Claire. You always want answers right away." I needed a break from the pressure. "Pressure." He said it like my love was a weight. My throat tightened. "You didn't take a break from pressure. You took a break from accountability." He went silent. Then I said the sentence that changed everything. "Daniel, if you were truly just scared, why did you block me?" His voice got softer again, rehearsed. "Because I knew you'd try to talk me out of it." That made my stomach drop. He didn't want comfort. He wanted control. He wanted the space to decide my future without me having any say. And that's when something inside me hardened. "You made your choice," I said, "so I made mine." "Wait, Claire," his voice cracked. "We can fix this. I can come home. We can talk in person." "Not at the apartment," I said. Not like nothing happened. He started crying then, real tears, at least real-sounding ones. I'm sorry, I handled it wrong. I got scared." "You got scared," I said, steady. "So you vanished. And you left me to clean up the wreckage." "Please," he whispered, "please don't end this." I stared at my laptop screen, at the neat rows of numbers and vendor names, at the total loss highlighted in red. Then I said, "Daniel, I donated your tux." The inhale on the other end was sharp, like I'd slapped him. "You what?" he choked. "I donated it," I repeated, "yesterday." "That was my tux." His voice rose, sudden fury. "That cost almost $2,000. And canceling the wedding cost $20,000, I said. "You created both losses when you blocked me and disappeared." "You had no right," he shouted. "I had every right," I shot back. "You abandoned it when you abandoned me." I hung up. I thought that would be the end. I was wrong. Because at 7:03 the next morning, there was pounding on my door so hard the frame rattled. And when I looked through the peephole, Daniel was standing there in yesterday's clothes, eyes swollen, hands shaking, like he'd decided if he showed up broken enough, I'd forget everything. I didn't open the door. I just said through it, "Go home, Daniel." And his voice, raw and desperate, came through the wood. "Claire, please, let me in. I have to explain Ethan." I didn't open the door. I stood there barefoot on the cold tile, staring at the brass knob like it might betray me if I touched it. "Claire, please." Daniel's voice cracked from the hallway. "I just need 5 minutes. 5 minutes. That's all it takes to plant doubt, to reopen wounds, to make a woman question her own boundaries." "You already had 3 years," I said through the door, "and you chose to block me." There was silence, then softer, almost trembling. "It's not what you think about Ethan." I closed my eyes. "That's interesting," I replied calmly, "because I haven't said what I think." He didn't answer that. Instead, he shifted tactics. "I was overwhelmed. I didn't know how to tell you I was confused." Confused. The word sat heavy in my chest. "You were confused about marrying me," I said slowly, "or confused about someone else?" Another pause. "Too long." My stomach twisted. "Claire," he whispered, "it's complicated." "It's not," I said. "You either choose your fiancé or you don't." His hand hit the door lightly this time, not pounding, pleading. "I didn't cheat on you." I laughed, and it startled even me. Not because it was funny, but because I realized something. He jumped straight to cheating. I hadn't used that word. Interesting, I said again. He went quiet. That was the moment I knew this wasn't anxiety. This wasn't nerves. This was guilt. Go home, Daniel, I repeated. I don't have a home, he snapped suddenly, frustration breaking through the tears. You boxed everything up. You left it, I corrected. There was a long exhale on the other side of the door. Then, softer. I love you, Claire. The words felt rehearsed, like something you say when you're losing leverage. If you loved me, I said quietly, you wouldn't have blocked me 8 days before our wedding to go stay with another man. He started crying again. But I didn't open the door. Eventually, the hallway went quiet. I waited 10 full minutes before looking through the peephole again. Empty. I thought that would be the end. It wasn't. By Friday, he was back, standing outside the building, sitting in his car, texting from new numbers, leaving voicemails I didn't listen to. Other residents started complaining about the early morning arguments and door knocking. Saturday, building management called me down. Is everything okay, Ms. Watson? The manager asked carefully. My ex-fiancé is having trouble accepting that we're over, I replied evenly. They issued a trespass warning. If he returned again, they would involve the police. I didn't tell his parents. I didn't need more drama. But Sunday afternoon, they showed up anyway. His mother looked exhausted. His father looked angry. Claire, what is going on? His dad demanded. Daniel has been crying for days. You canceled the wedding over nerves? Over nerves. I felt something cold settle inside me. Your son didn't have nerves, I said. He moved in with another man 8 days before our wedding. His mother blinked. Moved in? He's been staying with Ethan Miller, I continued. They both exchanged confused looks. We thought he was staying with Olivia, his mother said slowly. Olivia, his ex-girlfriend, the one he swore he barely spoke to anymore. I stared at them. No, I said. He told me he was staying with Ethan. The color drained from his father's face. Ethan? He repeated. Yes, a man he's known for a few months. Silence. And in that silence, I watched realization flicker. Because Daniel hadn't just lied to me. He'd lied to everyone. Monday, he escalated. He showed up at my office, in the lobby, where my coworkers could see. Claire, please, he said, voice shaking. Can we talk somewhere private? My manager was watching. So were 3 colleagues. I kept my voice calm. This isn't appropriate. You're making this bigger than it is, he insisted. Ethan is just a friend. Friends don't require disappearing from your fiancé, I replied. You're being jealous, he snapped. Jealous. That word again. I'm being someone who expects honesty, I said. He lowered his voice. I have feelings, he admitted quietly. I'm trying to figure them out. My heart stopped. Feelings for who? He didn't answer. He didn't need to. I turned and walked back to my desk. Tuesday evening, Sophia called me. Her voice was tight. Claire, I saw Daniel. Where? At the mall, by the fountain. I waited. He wasn't alone. My chest went hollow. It was Ethan, she said, and they weren't acting like friends. I closed my eyes. Define not acting like friends. They were holding hands, she said gently, and he kissed him. The air left my lungs. When Daniel saw Sophia watching, he panicked. Let go. Walked fast, like someone caught. I didn't cry. Not yet. Instead, I called him. He answered on the second ring. What? He snapped, already defensive. Sophia saw you, I said. Silence. At the mall, I continued, holding hands, kissing. Another long silence. Then finally, I didn't know how to tell you. There it was. Not denial. Not confusion. Admission. I have feelings for both of you, he whispered. Both. The word cut deeper than cheating ever could. You were dating him while engaged to me, I said flatly. I wasn't dating. You were kissing him. I was confused, he shouted. No, I said quietly. You were cheating. It wasn't cheating, he insisted desperately. I hadn't decided yet. That sentence. That was the real betrayal. He hadn't decided. Like I was a job offer. Like I was an apartment lease. Like I was an option. You don't get to shop around while planning a wedding, I said. He was crying again. I was going to choose you. I swallowed hard. If Ethan had asked you to move in permanently, I asked softly, would you have come back? He didn't answer. That silence told me everything. I hung up. And this time, I blocked him. Completely. But 3 days later, his sister Hannah called, and what she told me made everything worse. I almost didn't answer Hannah's call. At that point, every vibration from my phone felt like reopening a wound. But something in me said this one was different. Claire, she said immediately, voice unsteady, I owe you an apology. I didn't respond. I just waited. I didn't know the truth, she continued. Daniel lied to all of us. My chest tightened. What truth? I asked, even though I already knew pieces of it. Hannah inhaled sharply. He's been seeing Ethan for 4 months. 4 months. February. A third of our engagement. I felt my body go very still. He told us you were stressed and distant, she said. He said the wedding planning changed you, that you were always upset, that he didn't feel supported. I closed my eyes. I paid for everything, I whispered. I know, Hannah said, voice breaking. We didn't know that either. 4 months. 4 months of tasting cakes with me. 4 months of venue tours. 4 months of him sleeping next to me while texting someone else. He was planning to break up with you after Christmas, Hannah continued. Then he pushed it to Valentine's Day, then after the guest list was finalized. My stomach twisted. He didn't want to waste deposits, Jeb, she said bitterly. The irony was almost laughable. He told Ethan you two broke up months ago, Hannah added. He said you were just roommates finishing out the lease. The words hit harder than the cheating. Roommates. 3 years reduced to a lie for convenience. So Ethan didn't know? I asked. No, Hannah said. Not at first. Apparently, everything collapsed when Hannah herself called Ethan's number. She had gotten it from Daniel's phone while he was in the shower 2 days ago. Suspicious after I told her about the mall. She called, pretending to confirm where Daniel was staying. That's when she mentioned me, his fiancé. Ethan had gone silent. What fiancé? He'd asked. Hannah said that was the moment she realized Daniel wasn't confused. He was managing 2 narratives, 2 lives, 2 futures. Ethan confronted him that night. Daniel admitted he hadn't officially broken up with me. He said he was trying to figure out his feelings without hurting anyone. Without hurting anyone. I let out a humorless laugh. He asked Ethan to keep it secret, Hannah said. He told him if he really loved him, he wouldn't expose him before he was ready. Manipulation. Even now. Even after getting caught. What happened? I asked. Ethan ended it, she said quietly. He said he wasn't going to be someone's hidden option. I swallowed. So Daniel lost both of us. Yes. And suddenly all the crying outside my building made sense. He wasn't devastated because he loved me. He was devastated because his backup plan collapsed. He's telling people you overreacted, Hannah admitted. That you canceled everything impulsively. That you pushed him away. Of course he was. A man who juggles 2 partners rarely admits fault publicly. But the truth spreads faster than lies when enough people compare notes. Apparently, Ethan had also called Hannah again the next morning. He wanted to apologize to me. He had believed Daniel's story. He thought I was already gone. He said he never would have dated Daniel if he knew, Hannah told me. He felt sick when he realized. I believed that, because unlike Daniel, Ethan had walked away once he saw the manipulation clearly. Daniel, meanwhile, was still trying to salvage whichever option remained open. Hannah's voice softened. Claire, I'm so sorry. I defended him. I thought he just had nerves. I know, I said quietly. But this wasn't nerves, she whispered. He was planning to decide between you two. There it was, the thing I couldn't fully articulate until now. I wasn't abandoned because he panicked. I was put on hold while he evaluated his alternatives. The wedding wasn't sacred to him. It was leverage. He was going to stand at that altar and see which future felt more exciting. And if he chose wrong, he'd just disappear again. The thought made me cold. You deserve better, Hannah said. I didn't respond right away. Because for the first time in weeks, I didn't feel broken. I felt clear. Clear about what I refused to tolerate. Clear about what love isn't. That evening, Daniel's mother called. Her voice was thick with shame. We know, she said softly. We found out everything. Apparently, Daniel had tried to spin it again. Said Ethan misinterpreted things. But too many contradictions had surfaced. Too many timelines didn't align. Too many lies stacked on top of each other. He was seeing him since February, she said. He lied to you. He lied to Ethan. He lied to us. There was a long pause. I'm so sorry, she repeated. I believed her. But apologies from his family didn't undo the betrayal. They just confirmed I had been right to trust my instincts. Wednesday morning, my phone buzzed one more time. A new number. I almost ignored it. But something told me this was the last loose thread. It was Daniel. I know you hate me, the text read. But I really did love you. I just got confused. Confused. Still, as if love was a maze he accidentally wandered through. As if deception was a symptom of indecision instead of character. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I deleted it. No response. No closure for him. Because closure is something you give to someone who respected you. He didn't. And for the first time since that Monday morning when I woke up blocked, I didn't feel abandoned. I felt free. 3 weeks later, the silence in my apartment felt different. Not empty. Peaceful. The first few nights after everything collapsed, I slept with the television on just to drown out my own thoughts. Now, I slept in complete quiet. I kept the apartment. I rearranged the furniture. Moved the couch away from the wall where we once argued about seating charts. Took down the framed engagement photo from the hallway and replaced it with a large abstract print I bought on impulse. Bold, imperfect, unapologetic. I started cooking again. Not tasting cake samples. Not planning table settings. Just cooking for myself. There was something grounding about chopping vegetables without wondering if someone else preferred them differently. The financial damage still stung. $20,000 is not a small lesson. But every time I looked at my bank statement, I reminded myself, it cost me $20,000 to avoid marrying someone who treated me like a contingency plan. That felt like a bargain. The last thread tied itself off on a Monday afternoon. A message request popped up on Instagram. Ethan Miller. I stared at the name for a long moment before opening it. Hi, Claire. I know this is strange, but I wanted to apologize directly. I didn't know he was still engaged when we started dating. I believed him when he said you two broke up after Christmas. I read it twice. There was no defensiveness in the message, no justification, just accountability. We spoke briefly on the phone that evening. He sounded tired. I feel stupid, he admitted. He told me you were just roommates finishing out a lease. He said the wedding was something your parents pushed for, and he couldn't get out of it without humiliating you. I let out a slow breath. He told me you were just a friend, I said. There was a long silence. He told me if I really cared about him, I wouldn't force him to choose until he was ready, Ethan added quietly. He said he didn't want to hurt anyone. I almost smiled at the irony. He hurt everyone, I replied. Yes, Ethan said simply. And that was the difference. Daniel reframed his betrayal as confusion. Ethan called it what it was. Manipulation. When we hung up, I didn't feel anger. I felt closure, because the truth no longer lived in fragments. It was whole. Daniel's mother called one final time. He's moved back home, she said softly. He's not handling it well. I didn't ask how he was handling it. That was no longer my responsibility. He keeps saying everyone abandoned him when he needed support, she added. I almost laughed. Abandonment, the word he weaponized against me. He abandoned me first, I said calmly. I know, she whispered, and that was enough. Sophia came over that weekend with wine and pizza. We sat cross-legged on the floor like we used to in college. You know what the wildest part is? She said, sipping her drink. What? He really thought he could test two relationships at once and then pick the better one. I stared at the ceiling. He thought I'd wait, I said. You don't wait for someone who treats you like an option, she replied. No, you don't. A month later, I agreed to go to a friend's barbecue. I almost didn't. Part of me still felt fragile, like one wrong look could crack something open. But healing doesn't happen in isolation. That's where I met Mark. He was easy to talk to. No dramatic backstory reveal. No oversharing. Just normal conversation. On our third date, I told him everything. Not to trauma dump, but because honesty shouldn't feel like risk. When I finished, he shook his head slowly. He was planning to decide between you and someone else at your own wedding? He asked. Yes. That's not confusion, he said evenly. That's ego. No defensiveness. No jealousy. Just clarity. It felt safe, and that was new. Sometimes people ask if I regret canceling everything so quickly. If maybe I should have waited. If maybe Daniel would have come back sooner. But here's what I learned. When someone blocks you 8 days before your wedding, that is the answer. When someone disappears to figure out their feelings with someone else, that is the answer. When someone says they love you but needs to compare you to another option, that is the answer. I didn't destroy our relationship. He did, the moment he decided I wasn't enough to choose immediately. He thought he could keep 2 futures open. He thought I'd stay frozen in place while he evaluated. Instead, I chose myself. I protected my finances, my dignity, my sanity. 3 weeks after he blocked me, he had lost both relationships and moved back into his childhood bedroom. Meanwhile, I was sleeping peacefully in a home that felt like mine. And for the first time in months, I wasn't planning a wedding. I was building a life.